welcome to the podcast that buffs your Hearthstone game. This is Velen's Chosen.
Not all who wander are lost.
Greetings, visionaries, and welcome to Velen's Chosen. Whether you're a competitive player, an arena specialist, a deck-building visionary, or just like having a bit of fun, we can help you buff your game and achieve your Hearthstone goals. I am Grant Gould, and joining me this week is your friend and mine, Eve Martin. How you doing, Eve?
Good. I'm really excited. There is a lot to talk about this week. Putting the show notes together was just like so much. Just want to say thank you to Out of Cards, because they made everything like in a really easy to get to format of all the news, all the things. So that's like my go-to. But I'm super excited to talk about all of it.
And also joining us this week, very special guest. You've heard him before. He's been on the show a couple times, but we love having him on every time he's here. Joining us to help us discuss all the new things and some of the nerfs is Mageadeath. Welcome, Mageadeath.
Hey there. Glad to be back. So excited. This is the best time of the Hearthstone year, isn't it? New cards.
It is.
New expansion.
It is.
Lots of good fun stuff.
Yeah, this is when all the hype gets amped up and people start reevaluating. I think I'm going to play more Hearthstone again. I know for a fact that I've been playing a little less Hearthstone than I usually do, which is probably still more than most people. But when I saw the new expansion coming out and all the teasers and stuff, I'm like, all right, I'm playing Hearthstone again. I just started cranking out games and stuff. So the energy is always real positive, and we're really glad to have you on. And I can't wait to hear your opinion on some of the stuff coming out. So any final thoughts before we get into it? Because we got a lot to cover.
Let's get right into it.
Let's
good.
get
All right, Eve. All right, kick us off, Eve.
The shadows are rising again. So we saw an amazing trailer. I think I just heard like all positives. Everyone was saying amazing music, amazing theme. Like I just can't get out of my head. I've watched it 5 times, and it's just gave everybody in the Hearthstone sphere like energy and excitement. And this is going to be a good one. And what was your first impression, you guys, of the trailer?
90s montage from a cartoon.
80s, 90s, late 80s, early 90s. It was great. I saw the minute trailer, just the trailer of the expansion first, and that was amazing. I watched it probably 4 times just back to back to back. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And then like an hour or 2 later, I saw the tweet for Hadija Chamberlain's announcement.
Yes.
And she knocked that out of the park as well. I mean, I loved what Dave Cossack did with Rise of Shadows, but the Deathiest Death was the greatest thing. I loved it.
They know
It's
their
like,
audience.
yeah, exactly. And it's like if there's any way that I could be more hyped for this, she somehow pushed it up to 11. It was just fantastic.
This one goes to 11.
Yes.
Oh man. Yeah, I think they know their audience. Okay, their audience is people who were children in the 80s and 90s. Got it. Never mind the new kids.
Yeah, remind me, what is that room like reminiscent of?
It's a Masterpiece Theater.
Right.
Right?
Masterpiece Theater.
Yeah.
If you're too young and you don't know what we're talking about, go look it up on YouTube. You'll immediately understand. Yeah.
I think Masterpiece Theater's still around.
I think it is.
Yeah. PBS. So, yeah. All right. So, man, we got a lot of stuff to see. Where to start? Well,
The League
let's
of
just go to
Explorers. Like,
We have to
League of
start.
Explorers.
We have to start. Is it Uldum or Uldoom? I thought it was Uldum.
I thought it was Uldoom.
I thought I was corrected by the end of the regular trailer. The very last word is Uldoom, and they make sure to really hit the doom part of it. And then Hadija, the same thing, says Uldoom. And so
Yeah, see,
I
that
felt
was
dumb.
the only part of the
I felt
trailer that
dumb.
shook me, where I was like, no, wait a minute. My entire time playing like World of Warcraft, in my head, I've pronounced it Uldum.
Okay.
And now
I'm glad I'm
this,
not the
like,
only one.
It doesn't even. No.
How do you get an out of you? You know, I don't know.
Well, if you, I'll be honest, I thought it was Uldoom, but I'm kind of majorly into the Lord of the Rings, and I've been reading the Silmarillion a lot, so I'm kind of in that frame of mind. You know, you would never say Uldum; it'd be Uldoom because it just sounds more. I don't know.
It's got more gravitas to it as Uldoom.
Yeah, Uldoom.
I just don't know. I don't know if they leaned heavy on it because it does sound like Doom, or because they were trying to rhyme in their music, or what. I don't know if they actually went to like the creators of World of Warcraft and went, by the way, how are you guys pronouncing it all of these years? Because to me, it was just like the only wrong note in the whole song.
I'm sorry, you called the area incorrectly. We're gonna have you do this over again. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It does the same thing to me when people say Hearthstone.
Oh. I don't like that either.
And I really like there's some beloved people on podcasts that I respect and I care about that say Hearthstone, but every time they do it, I just want to go, no, it's Hearth.
Yeah, so what's the innkeeper's name? Is it Hearth? Hearth Stone Brew? Hearth Stone Brew? I don't think that's what it is.
I don't think
Hearth. Hearth. You gotta get the hearth into it.
Yeah, there you go.
Nobody goes
Is that
Hearth.
his name?
This is
yeah.
His name is Hearth Stone Brew. Yeah.
I actually didn't know that.
Yep. Now you do.
All right. Now that we've gotten that out,
the more you know.
They're wrong. We're right.
So how many 80s and 90s references can we pack into this show? We just did, the more you know, and knowing is half the battle. Just didn't say G.I. Joe on that.
The whole field did kind of remind me of the Mageadeath expansion.
Oh yeah.
One
that
night
fun
Karazhan.
party kind of flavor.
Yeah, One Night in Karazhan. Like that whole kind of throwback music and just really rockin'. I don't know. I really loved it. I loved every minute of it. And seeing all of the explorers again, who we now know which classes they're going to represent. Elise Starseeker is a druid. Reno Jackson is a mage.
What?
Right. Because of that big
okay.
gun that he's wielding in the trailer is like, they said his class changes with whatever loot he's found recently. And since he has this big crystal magical gun thing, he's a mage right now.
He's a mage. Got a mage cannon. Got it.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if we're gonna
and
get a
then, of
mage cannon
course-
card, because that would be pretty sweet.
That would be pretty sweet.
That would be.
No lie. I want a
Bran
mage cannon.
Bronzebeard is it Bran
Hunter?
Bronzebeard?
Hunter, I think, right?
Hunter, yes.
We called that. I think we called that one. And Murgleton is the shaman.
Nope.
Paladin.
Paladin.
Yeah.
Paladin. Because Shaman's
Oh,
already
because Shaman's
taken by
Agatha.
Agatha.
Yeah.
She's an evil one.
My bad.
Yes.
My
Yeah.
bad. That's right. Paladin? Okay. Oh, well, there's Murloc Paladin. Okay.
Right,
That was been a thing.
exactly. There are class Murlocs in Paladins.
Sir Finley knows my Paladin decks quite well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Sir Finley was one of those cards that ended up being way, way better than people thought he was going to be. If I remember correctly, it's been a little while.
He's still powering my shaman Murloc deck in Wild right now. So.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's sweet.
So, 135 new cards are going to be added to the game. There's 2 pre-order bundles. There's going to be a new card back and a new Druid Hero portrait, which is Elise Starseeker.
It is gorgeous, by the way. I love it.
Yeah, and there's already been like data mined what she says for her greetings and things like that. And it sounds super
Ooh la la.
polite. Like, you're not even going to be able to emote meanly with her. I
Well,
usually
that's no
don't
fun.
share data mine stuff on the show because spoilers. People want to like get the class and feel it out for themselves and stuff. So for $49.99 USD, you get 50 Saviors of Uldum packs, the Elise Journal card back, and 1 random golden legendary. For $79.99 USD, you get 80 Saviors of Uldum packs, the card back, golden legendary, and the new Druid hero, Elise Starseeker. You
Oh,
guys
yeah.
know what you're going to be doing?
Yep.
Are you
80.
getting both of them?
I'll take both. Thank you very much.
I'll probably just buy the 80, but I got to save my money for that. So
Yes.
I'll
We're going to
probably-
start saving
I like-
now.
I like
Yep.
that we're getting a gold legendary with both of those because I think previously the 50 pack only got a regular legendary. So
Yes.
if you didn't get the one you wanted, you can still disenchant it and craft exactly which legendary you want. So I'm glad that they're doing that with this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. I think some people kind of got a little salty about, because that's basically what the way people think of it is like, it's a free legendary of my choice. So if I don't get a golden one that I really like or excited about, I can get the one I really wanted anyways.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So fun new stuff that we already know about the new expansion. There is a new keyword. Reborn. So it resurrects a minion the first time it dies with 1 health. So this is not going to be a death rattle. It doesn't make it a death rattle minion. It's not adding more death rattle minions to the game. It's not going to trigger death rattles. It's a new mechanic, which is reborn. When it dies, it comes back with 1 health.
Kind of like redemption.
Yes.
But it's specific to the minion that has that reborn keyword.
Exactly.
I wonder why they did that, because that's a very oddly specific keyword, and if they're going to keep using it later on or not, we'll see. But for stuff like that, didn't they kind of say that they'd rather just say this minion, when it dies, comes back with 1 health, or the first time, or something like that? Didn't they find it easier for people who were learning the game to not have all these extra new keywords that did an oddly specific thing that you
Yes.
only find in one set?
They did actually talk a little bit about experimenting with how to say it on different cards, and it sounded clunky.
Yeah.
And I do think that they like at least giving us a new mechanic every couple expansions. It's a fun thing for Hearthstone players to have a new thing. And it can't be a death rattle. Like, they wanted to make it a different thing from death rattle, and they didn't want to confuse people who have death rattles on their cards and then reborn. So it makes it separate when it has its own word.
Yeah, it seems like a
Death
lot of
rattles are when this
text.
dies.
It seems like it
Yeah.
would be a lot of text on the cards.
Yeah.
And so then
That's
if
true.
you're having any other keywords or anything else going on with the card, like the example was Rush along with the Reborn mechanic. I mean, I can't imagine what that might look like with Rush, and then when this minion dies, comes back to life with 1 health or
Yeah.
something like that. That would just be a ton of text on the card. And so I think they do kind of on the box features sort of thing with every expansion, seem to want to have a keyword, a new mechanic that's easily identified, and so they got a name for it, Reborn, and it just, this is what it does.
And I
Yeah,
think the
that's probably a
advantage
marketing thing. And
of a digital card game is that you play it and it does what it does. Like, if you're playing Magic the Gathering and you didn't know what Reborn meant, that would be difficult. You have to go look it up and find out. But in Hearthstone, you just put the card down, and then when it dies, it does what it does. Like, you don't have to do anything to make its ability happen.
Mhm.
So it makes it a little easier to kind of throw in keywords like that, I think.
that makes sense. So what's this new mechanic now that we got, Eve?
So plague cards are only going to be for the 5 League of Evil classes: Priest, Shaman, Warrior, Warlock, and Rogue. These cards wreak havoc indiscriminately, affecting every minion on the board, so it's best to be the one who decides when they're unleashed. This is from Hearthstone devs. So they have powerful board clear effects like Plague of Death, the 9-mana Priest epic spell, silence and destroy all minions. So their abilities,
la.
all the other plagues, are going to affect all minions.
The
Which-
deathiest death.
The
It's
death.
that's all it's ever going to be for me. It's not going to be anything else. It's just the deathiest death, and I'm fine with that.
Like the only things you can't get rid of with these are things like the darkness,
Mm-hmm.
the stuff that just sort of lives on the board and you can't do anything about it. But other than that, yeah, this is
Garrison.
like
This is
I'm not going to have to worry about
ultimate
death
board
rattles or anything. Just
Yeah.
kill them all.
Hmm.
But 9 mana, I think, makes it very reasonable for its ability.
Yeah, we saw Psychic Scream was 7 mana, but it put all the minions in the opponent's deck. We've seen Twisting Nether, which is 8 mana that just removes everything from the board, but triggers death rattles, so things stay on the board. It's basically Mass Dispel along with a Twisting Nether, so that's basically 12 mana. You don't draw a card, but it's basically 12 mana's worth of spell in one card. So I mean, I would be
fairly costly.
disappointed if it costs less than 9, to be perfectly honest with you, because it's just, given what we've seen other things do, it's better than Twisting Nether. It's better than Psychic Scream. It's maybe not Doom, which was, board clear and draw a card for every minion that's on the board. You're not drawing cards as well, but there is definitely an advantage to being able to silence all the minions before they die. Which, by the way, the animation they showed of that is basically this: the entire board becomes quicksand and everything just gets sucked in, and it looks really cool.
Oh, you've seen the animation for Plague
Yeah,
of
it was
Death?
Seen the animation.
in the announcement trailer with Hadija. They actually
that's
showed
so
it,
cool.
and yeah, it basically, and I mean, you in the card art you see like these animals struggling to get out of quicksand and stuff.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's gonna look amazing, I bet.
I've been really
Man.
happy with the card art so far that I've seen.
Yeah, the card art's been on point, but we can talk more about that in a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, returning mechanic, quest cards are coming back to Hearthstone.
Reintroducing quests.
Reintroducing.
All of these quests, however, are going to be immediate swaps upon completion. So you don't get a card into your hand and then you have to play the card like a lot of the other quests. It's like it's just going to change your hero power as soon as you've completed the quest.
Interesting.
See, the best part about playing against people with quests previously was getting them to mill the quest so that they didn't get the reward, i.e.
Counter
quest
spell
rogue,
or discard.
or you could just win the game on the spot if they completed the quest with too many cards in their hand, and then they don't get the quest result.
Yeah. But this is all going to be, they change your hero power quests, not you have
Right.
something in your hand and now for the rest of the game your minions are 5/5. They're all going to be change your hero power 2 thing. So, and you can't play 2 quests at a time. I don't know if people knew that already, but like in Wild and stuff, you have to wait until the first one's completed and then you can cast your second quest if you want to play more than one a game.
So the quest acts
Interesting.
kind of like a secret in that you already have one in play, so you can't start another one until that one is it's done tracking and basically completed.
Yes, it
That's a
takes
really
the
good way to
spot
think about
and you
it.
can only have one going at a time. But I think secrets or quests always start in your opening hand, right? So if you did put more than one
Yes.
into your deck, then you would still get 2 of them in your opening hand.
Ew.
Well,
Yeah.
they
Tempo
would
negative.
start there. You could obviously like throw back the one that you don't want to start with right away.
That's true.
and then it would be a card that would come up later.
It's true.
Hmm.
There will be solo content coming with this expansion, as per usual, and free stuff.
Sounds like a month after, kind of like
Yeah.
it was for Rise of
Well, it was so
Shadows.
popular. Everybody was super excited that just as the expansion newness wore off, we got new content, and everybody was
Yes.
super hyped about
Really
it. and-
smart. And not like fighting for people's attention with like all the brand new cards. You give them time to
Right.
play with all the new cards and have fun, and then later bring out the expansion. So log into Hearthstone for the first 90 days after launch. That's a good deal of time to receive one free random legendary quest card. So everyone will be.
So what if you
getting
have
one
it
of
already?
quests.
They just give you one anyways, and you can dust it.
Well,
Well, it's on logging in the first time after the expansion goes live. So you,
Oh no, yeah. So you'll have it already.
so
Okay. I could read
with
better
the
if I chose to.
if you go to a pre-release, what I would assume is if you open up packs on the pre-release and get a quest, and then I don't know when they're giving the free one in. It sounds like after launch. So if you go to
Yeah.
a pre-release, you could open quests before then, and then the one legendary per you no duplicate legendary this expansion would come into play on launch day. So if you got Supreme Archaeology, you would not be able to get that launch day.
Right. So are they going to have a quest for every class like they did in Ungoro?
it sounds like it, yeah.
It's it sounds like it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know the community's thoughts on that, considering how much salt and remember, if I'm not mistaken, recently or fairly recently, I say recently in quotes, I guess, like weren't they talking about quests being something they weren't that interested in bringing back right away because they didn't want to reuse stuff, and
What I remember
power
is
level
legendary
and all
weapons.
this, and
But
was it weapons?
yeah, but from what I've heard from the community already is these seem very balanced. Like we can talk about untapped potential, quest, end 4 turns with any unspent mana, reward Osirian tier, which is makes your hero power, passive hero power. Your choose 1 cards have both effects combined.
Ooh la la.
So none of these quests seem like game breaking. You know, you get the quest done and you have now won the game. They seem very even.
Yeah, at least the first 2 that we've seen.
True,
We've got
true.
7. We've got 7 more.
We'll see what happens,
But
I guess, right?
Given that it's replacing your hero power with some other effect, it feels like, at least on first blush, that the potential for something to be completely off the rails, like the quest for Rogue was, or I don't know, the Warrior one was pretty good too. Once you completed it, and that it probably feels like it's not quite as impactful, and I think that it's probably meant to not be as impactful as some of the quests during Journey to Ungoro were. I mean, you still have to kind of build around them, but
Yeah.
This is what I think is that they've learned that when you change a class's hero power, it makes it feel fresh and new. They learned this from the Death Knights when you got a new hero power, and the quests, and when you have like the new hero cards that change your hero power too. So I think they've learned from the levels that we got to with the first original quests and made it so it can be an interesting thing to have a new hero power, but it's not going to be like, I mean, Warlocks is draw a card, it costs 0, but you have to draw 20 cards to complete this quest.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Like, how many cards do you have left in your deck, and how happy are you that now there's 0 after drawing 20 cards?
Yeah.
you
Almost-
you have to. I don't know how that quest does not work. I don't know how you complete that quest without plot twist. First off, and
Yeah.
that will help you get there, but you almost need it in combination with the augmented Elec to put extra copies of cards into your deck. But I still worry about the amount of tempo that you have to lose to draw that many cards to begin with. I mean, obviously plot twist is going to help you get there, but it still feels like it's going to have to be after turn 10 at some point, even with plot twist. And it's like, that's with me, I don't know if you want to be running, novice engineers and loot hoarders and acolytes of pain and all this sort of stuff. I don't know if you necessarily want to be doing that. So it's like, how do you balance, or how do you walk the tightrope of still having a good deck and having cards that you want to put back into your deck with, like, say, the plot twist, and still having enough stuff to like want to then be able to hero power to get it at 0 after you've completed the quest.
Exactly.
The other thing is, like, it's still 2 mana to do that. And it's not like all your cards are 0 mana after the quest is completed.
Right,
You just have
right.
to draw them. You still have to hero power every turn to get the card, and then hopefully it's something good enough that you want to play it for 0 mana. Obviously, most anything you'll want to play at 0 mana, but it's still, it just, I don't know. I've heard I heard people saying that they thought it wasn't very good, and then I heard some people say, well, on further thought, maybe it's actually not that bad. But I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. We haven't seen all the cards for this set.
Yes.
Right.
So I'm assuming there's going to be cards that go along with it. But also,
Cthulhu's
I
a
like
card.
the fact that it would be a deck that you'd have to make an entire deck to build around it.
Yeah,
And
this
it
would
seems
be
very
a
slow.
full commitment
A
to
control
the
deck
quest.
for Warlock.
Yeah. So I'm pessimistic that it's going to be see a lot of play, but it would be. I am definitely interested in seeing what additional support we see in this expansion to help it get there. But it does have a tool right now, Plot Twist, that's going to help it get there, and Augmented Relic can help as well. It's
Do you
just,
remind me
what else do you
what
put
Plot
in
Twist does?
So for every card in your hand, you shuffle it back into your deck and then redraw that many cards. It's a
Okay.
2 mana card,
Mhm.
and it's so, if you get a hand of like 8 cards, you can play 2 mana, shuffle, put those 8 cards that are in your hand back into your deck, and then you redraw 8 cards, and that get you 8 cards closer to completing the quest. But you still have to find the plot twist.
Yep.
I've watched Brian Kibler play some plot twist Warlock. It's Control Warlock. It's got Dollmaster Dorian. It's got the Fell Lord Beltrog. And so what you're trying to do is get like Dollmaster Dorian, which gives you a 1/1 of every minion you draw, or Beltrog is the 8 mana card, legendary, that gives you basically a rush full version of any minion you draw, but it dies at the end of the turn. So you want to have death rattle things like the Mechanical Whelp. You want to have things like that, and then those are the cards that you're trying to pull, so that you get,
That sounds fun.
awesome.
That sounds like
you get
something that might
but
work
it's
together.
still, it feels like, how do you balance that? So you're balancing all that. You want to try and find Rotten Apple Bomb maybe to get some health back, that sort of thing. But you have to balance that with a whole bunch of card draw as well, so that you can actually get to that 20 cards.
And some of the 135 new cards we're going to be seeing from this set. So we'll keep an eye out for anything that might make that more dangerous.
Right.
Grant, do you want to reveal some of the other cards we've seen?
Yeah, let's just start going down the road. We've already revealed a couple of them, but Shaman's got a card that they showed us. It's a 2-cost 0/2 totem. It's called Evil Totem, all capital EVIL. And it says at the end of your turn, add a lackey to your hand. Ooh.
I think this is good.
So this is a great card, I think, because it's a lot like Manatide Totem, right?
Yep.
Where it
Draw
pulls
a card at the end of the
except for
turn.
it gives you a lackey, and lackeys have proven to be very, very, very good. So I think this card could be super awesome.
I like it.
But what's interesting is it has a 2 health on it, and 2 health is easy to get rid of. So it's kind of an insta-kill kind of thing. So in some ways it's a soft taunt, but if you can make it stick, or you can buff it up maybe with a shaman buffing spell.
Yeah, it seems like it would go with the totem decks that we tried to make work so many times, buffing up your totems, making lots of totems, and like a minion token shaman deck, which sounds fun to me.
Yeah.
It's
got a lot
no
of
worse
potential.
than the Cable Rat. The Cable Rat's a 1/1 for 2 that gives you a lackey. So you're guaranteed to get 1 because it happens at the end of your turn. I think you obviously want to try and put it down in a situation where you can protect it in some way. But yeah, it still feels like if you get a second or a third lackey off this thing, you are really doing well for yourself, I think.
Yeah, that's super good. So, next card is a 1-cost 1/1. It's called Jar Dealer. It is a common card, and it says Death Rattle. Add a random 1-cost minion to your hand. Okay, so it gives you more stuff, but it's random, and I guess you'd have to go through all the 1-cost minions that are good and all the ones that are bad. So is this worth a deck slot? Hard to know.
Yeah,
Unless
it's
they have
interesting
some,
because we always look at the 1-cost minions that we get in sets because you got to have some 1-cost minions in your deck. And what are the good ones, That mech that it's Death Rattle summon another 1/1 is really good.
Mecharoo.
Yeah.
Well, and it probably could tandem with Magic Carpet, so it's a 1-cost, and it becomes a 2/1 with Magic Carpet.
Yeah, that's a good
So you
card.
can trade.
Magic Carpet.
And it puts another 1-cost in your hand, so you got another thing for Magic Carpet. So it might, on that type of a deck.
A zoo card. Definitely a
Zoo
zoo
card.
card, yeah.
And some decks, like especially my Druid deck, like it when you put minions in your hand because it makes your hand bigger. It actually affects other cards where you need to have a large hand, like Whispering Woods. Is it Whispering Woods?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the card art is great.
I think any card that replaces itself in your hand, I think is pretty good. I think the thing would be really good if it was a 1/2, but even a 1/1, I think that gives you another one drop when it dies is solid.
Yeah, it's possible that the 1-drop you get is better, than the one you just played. So
Yeah.
We already talked about Plague of Death, right? The priest card. It's an epic. Just so you guys know, a Plague of Death is an epic card. So you won't be seeing too many of them as you open your packs, unless you're just one of those people that pulls the same epic over and over and over again, which I have been that guy from time to time. You've done that too, Mageadeath. What
I
have you
couldn't
pulled
get
before?
a Void Lord to save my life, but there's always one epic that I get about a dozen of. The rogue epic that did damage for if you comboed it did damage for something.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
What's that card?
Spectral something, I think.
Yeah, I know what your card.
That one I got a dozen of, but I couldn't get the last one I remember is Void Lord, trying desperately 200 packs, couldn't open a single Void Lord.
Doggone, that's crazy.
Was it Blood Bloom, the Warlock spell?
Yeah.
It was an epic.
Yep.
I kept getting over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I always get all the shaman epics. That's what I always get.
Mage is probably going to want to try and get Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron. A 10 mana epic, cast 10 random spells, targets chosen randomly. Now they have confirmed that it will not be able to cast itself.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
could
good
not
thing.
even imagine.
They've limited the spells to 10. So no matter how many spells you played up to that point, it's not going to work like Yogg-Saron and just go off for 20.
20 or 30 spells. Goes good with Caligos, right? Caligos. So
And I've
play
heard
that for free.
people say it doesn't have a body, so it's not as bad as Yogg-Saron because Yogg-Saron had a body. But also, if Yogg-Saron destroyed itself, it would stop casting.
Yeah.
This is a
This
guaranteed.
is you're
10 random
you're
spells.
in for 10.
Yeah.
And we'll see where we're at that point. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I think it's better than actually the nerfed version of Yogg-Saron, in that you don't have to worry about the fact that it instantly casts Hex on itself as the very first spell, and then that board clear that you were looking for doesn't happen.
Yeah. So what you're saying, no Frog Saron.
Yeah,
here.
no Frog Saron here. This is in control decks. You play one of, just like you played Yogg-Saron, and it's in case of emergency break glass.
Right.
But it's going to be interesting, and I'm glad that it's not. I'm glad that it can't cast itself, because oh my god, that would.
This is an item in World of Warcraft that you can get, the Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron, and people have been trying to figure out what it does for ages, because it whispers to you if you keep it in your inventory.
wow.
It just talks to you and says sort of like, it almost sounds like riddles or forecasting the future. And it's just very evil and dark sounding. But I'm
That sounds
surprised.
evil and dark sounding, actually.
I'm
I'll
surprised
tell you what,
that
the
they
first
made this
time I ever
card.
cast, when they cast, the first time I ever played Yogg-Saron, he goes, bow before the god of death. And the way it's voice acted, I'm like, dang, that's creepy. I didn't realize asparagus tentacles could be so scary.
Oh, yeah. If
So,
you've seen him in World of Warcraft, he's an old god. They're terrifying.
yeah.
But
Yeah, they are terrifying.
aren't you surprised that they did this? Like after Yogg-Saron,
No.
going back to that.
After all the disgruntled, specifically pro players,
Yep.
and before it got nerfed, it was, and the thing of it is you don't have to power it up like you had to Yogg-Saron,
Exactly.
where
You just drop it.
you can just drop this and see what happens.
And you're going to be able to
because-
get it off of a bunch of different mage cards that give you random mage spells, so you don't even have to put it in
Yeah.
your deck. Sometimes people are just going to get
Yep,
this.
your Cyclone's going to give you one of these every time, probably.
Yeah. just
Every time.
It'll be dead in
I
your
hope
hand
this
for a
works
little
out.
while, but once you get to turn 10, maybe
does
maybe this
Casino
is how
Mage-
Cyclone Mage beats Control Warrior, is the puzzle box of Yoggs. It feels like a terrible matchup. So
I'm excited. I always liked Yogg-Saron. I liked pre-nerf Yogg-Saron, but then again, I wasn't a pro player trying to win money.
Exactly,
So-
right? I love it too, and I'm going to have fun with it, and I'm glad they made it, but I'm surprised they did. I really am.
And they made it an epic and not a legendary spell. So you can have 2 of them if you want.
Oh my goodness. Yep,
20,
that's true.
20 random acts of Yogg-Saron, baby. Happening. So let's see what's next here. Next is we have a rare minion. It's 2 cost. It is called Questing Explorer. It is a 2 attack, 3 health. Battle Cry. If you control a quest, draw a card. So 2 mana, 2/3, draw a card. If you're playing a quest deck, deal.
Yeah, I
It's a
mean,
good 2-drop.
like, the quests are going to be there for a while, and they can't be
Mhm.
gotten rid of in any way,
Yeah.
shape, or form by your opponents.
Just-
So it's pretty much a guarantee. It's not like a secret which they can pop and,
Mhm.
deal with.
Yeah, I like it.
Seems nondescript, but you could see it just fitting in just about any quest
Mhm.
deck, probably.
Yeah, it's just really solid. And I
Um,
love the art. I'm just going to keep
it's-
saying that because it's so good.
Yeah, it's neutral, so you can put it in any deck. You can, and even with the old quests, you could throw that in there if you need card draw
Oh, yeah.
in there for wild.
And our Reborn, Restless Mummy, Rush, Reborn, 4 mana, 3/2. It's a warrior card.
So
This is
basically,
the art
jammers
I
on a
like,
stick.
actually.
Wait a minute. I don't think that. Yes, it is.
What?
The Reborn version of it's going to have Rush too.
Yep.
Because it's an exact copy of this, which is resurrected with 1 health. So it'll also
control
have
card.
Rush. That's good. Kill something. This comes back. So you have 6
Kill again.
damage right there on a 4 mana stick.
It seems like an anti-go wide board. So if you're playing warrior, you don't have to rely on, what's that card? It's a 5. It's a 5/5 when you cast it with rush, but then on your next turn,
Militia Commander.
Militia Commander. Yeah,
I feel like I like this card, but I like Militia Commander better because it kind of deals with some of the other cards, specifically when you're dealing with other warriors. It deals
Mhm.
with the Devastator. It deals with the Dinomatic.
Mhm.
Those sorts of things. This still does that, but I mean, you have usually a body left over for the Militia
Mhm.
Commander. But I think it was Jocelyn from the Angry Chicken was saying this would be a good, you switch out the Militia Commander, put this in when you're teching for aggro in a specialist deck. This feels like a really
Mhm.
good, if you're trying to keep up with early boards with Murloc Shaman or something like that. That this would allow you to take 2 minions off the board as opposed to 1, which is what Militia Commander would be able to do.
That's an interesting thought. I hadn't really considered that, but how many of these cards in the upcoming sets are going to be made where it seems like they're kind of obviously made for specialist format kind of play? You know what I mean? I hadn't thought about that.
I had
But
not thought about that either, but it makes perfect sense. I was like, I'm not
mm,
sure if I would replace my militia commanders with the restless mummy just on its own, or maybe you include them both. You have
Why
two
not?
town criers that pull rush minions, and right now you only typically have 3 rush minions in the deck. Maybe you want to add 2 more.
I think it's a
and
really
maybe.
solid card.
Yeah, it's very solid.
Well, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I've tried to make a Rush Warrior deck just because I'm trying to get that elusive Golden Warrior portrait, and sometimes you just want to try stuff that's not Control Warrior or Bomb Warrior or whatever, or Pirate Warrior. So I think if a Rush Warrior deck would be good, I'll play it.
Mm-hmm. It
Sounds like
sounds more
fun to
fun to
me.
me for sure.
Hmm.
Yes.
All right, let's see here. That's all the cards that they've released for now. Um, I got to say they're exciting and intriguing, and certainly these aren't even the best ones. These are just the bait to get us hyped. So some good, some okay, some probably better than we think.
They're full of a lot of
So,
flavor, and
mhm.
and it works really well with the set that they're going for. So I'm excited to see the rest of them.
Yeah. So I guess just a quick note on arena changes when the new set launches: Saviors of Uldum with lots of O's, in quotation marks. The arena will rotate to a new pool of cards from the following sets. It'll be Classic, League of Explorers, Journey to Ngoro, Kobolds and Catacombs, Rusticon's Rumble, and Saviors of Uldum. So if you haven't been playing Wild Arena, that's been a really great thing that they've done where they rotate sets. I probably played more Arena in the last 2 months than I played in the previous 2 years combined. So I've been digging Arena a lot, and I like a lot of the combinations of sets and what they do for the flavor. I don't know if you guys played much of that.
I did. I actually went into Arena after we had that Arena episode.
With Steven Sensei?
Yeah. And
Mhm.
found out that I had an expired one. So I got a free card.
Mhm.
And then as soon as I was done that run, I had another one.
Hmm.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Just had a couple games
Did you
right
do
away.
okay on your runs? If you care to admit.
You know what? I can't
Or else
remember. I
you
do
can reserve the
remember
fifth.
thinking to myself after that episode, though, not feeling too bad when I only had 3 wins.
Mm.
Because I'm thinking about it in a different way now after he told me about like the average win rate of people playing Arena and stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was enjoying Arena. I played. I don't play it a lot, but I try to do a run every week, and was doing really well for the first 2 months of Rise of Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
They switched it, and really with the Rise of the Mechs, they switched it so that like all the mech mech
Synergies?
sets are together in the arena
Oh,
right
yeah.
now, and so I haven't played that as much, but the combination of switching it up every 2 months as opposed to like every 4 months,
Yeah.
and I think it makes it definitely feel a lot fresher. And then with the bucketing system that they're doing now, where they're kind of tweaking offering rates on a per card level, it makes and putting them in these like buckets, and so you get cards that are in a similar power level, and allows you to kind of it's not like one great choice and 2 terrible choices just because of the rarity of the cards like it used to
Right.
be. And so
It makes
Right.
it a
it
little more
it, it,
difficult. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
feels more difficult to draft, but it also feels more fair, I think, when it comes to the decks. The decks don't feel as ridiculously out of whack when you're going up against somebody. Obviously, there's going to be people that have these like insane decks, but sometimes, but for the most part, it feels like I'm on a fairly even playing level with
Mm-hmm.
my opponent, and so then it's just using the slightly different skills that you need to play arena well, because you don't necessarily know what your opponent has in their deck. I mean, that's kind of the advantage of constructed, is we kind of have a good idea of what cards are popular and what decks,
Sure.
and that sort of thing. And it
represents
can
a
be
lot of time and effort for them to go back to these old cards that like we don't have in standard anymore, and to decide what their power level is and to put them in different buckets. So like the amount of time and effort they're putting in arena is significant, I think, for the people who really like that portion of Hearthstone and
And it's
want to
better
see
for
more
it.
time and effort given to it.
Well, the biggest investment is they're doing it once to kind of bucket it, and then they can start using data, or they can start using data to actually figure out how good the card actually is, and then they can move it up and down based on just how good it actually is when people are playing it. So.
And for Saviors of Uldum, though, they're going to have to put in the work and figure out where all those cards go into it as well.
Yeah, but I mean, they did that with every expansion before, so it's part of the process. I'm sure they have a starting point where they think these cards are at, and then
I'm going to assume that Quest will not be in it.
Yeah, you read my mind.
That's what they've done in the past.
They took out quests before, so I would imagine they would.
And Death Knights in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get on to the kind of more controversial topic that we've been building up to.
Yep.
Controversy. There's no controversy.
Controversy never happes in Hearthstone. You want me to read it, Eve? And just kind of will.
Patch notes came out. Go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, I'm going to read them a little bit out of order, just for logic. It says the recent changes to some of the card art applies to make those cards more visually cohesive and consistent with the art style of Hearthstone today. When Hearthstone first launched, we brought in a lot of artwork from the physical World of Warcraft trading card game. In the years since, Hearthstone has developed a look, feel, and personality of its own that distinguishes it from that of Warcraft, though we still love being a part of that universe. We'll always be looking forward for ways to deliver on the game's unique style, charm, and personality. Okay, that was the spokesperson. Kosak says, yeah, we went back and really just brought everything up to our standards. It wasn't because we were looking at ratings or international regulations or anything like that. We really just wanted our artists to feel good about everything in the set. We wouldn't print those same cards today. So there's been a lot of controversy over the art nerfs. And if you've been playing Hearthstone for long enough, you probably have wondered, especially if you're a parent, like, whew, some of those cards are a little on the risque side. And maybe they are, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for here, Eve?
Inappropriate.
Yeah,
when I was playing World of Warcraft, I felt the same way. When you go back through the old content, there's basically lingerie on the female characters. You know, the chainmail bikini. And it's really jarring in this day and age to kind of be playing a game that's like that. And then you get up to like all of the newer stuff, and it's very beautiful art and a lot of time and effort put into it, and it makes sense with the style and everything. So looking back on the old stuff, it must just kind of be like a thorn in their side to kind of be like, oh, we've come so far since then. We've developed so much, and all of this new art that we have is so beautiful and cohesive to the style we're going for. And some of that old stuff just, yeah, when you look at it, it's like, this doesn't really go with the theme of what we're trying to make. So I really applaud them for it, because I know they knew they were going to take some fire. And they decided to do it anyway.
It kind of, let's see here. Let's put it this way. The internet/video game world is, in my opinion, hypersexualized. It's just everything tends to go that way without people really thinking about it. And for them to sort of take a step back and try to make their game, I'm going to say, less tawdry, then I think that's sort of a step of good faith. It's like, look, we're trying to make a game. We're not trying to make anything that's more than that or beyond that. You know, we're not trying. We have a particular type of fantasy we're going for without being a different kind of fantasy, if you follow my meaning. And I like what they're doing. I can tell you that the first time I ever let my like kids play Hearthstone, my wife was watching over the shoulder, and the first thing she noticed was pre-nerf Jaina. That's the first thing she saw, and she couldn't get past that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because she's like, "What kind of game is this?" So you're like, "My kids play."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was like, no, really, it's not that. It's not what the game is. And I didn't really even think anything of it because I think people can get desensitized to it.
Yeah.
But then I thought to myself, I'm like, that's not even one of the bad ones. You know what I mean? Like there's, there's a couple other cards that
Whirlwind.
fortunately don't see play. Harpy and well, something we'll get into which cards were nerfed, but Harpy was one of them. You know what I mean? Fortunately, it's not a card that's played much. Whirlwind, for warrior and other things.
I just feel like they've grown up.
Mm-hmm.
Like when WoW was first made, it was just another one of those online games that just they didn't think very much about the art direction. They didn't put that kind of deep thought into it. And then as it grew and grew and grew and had such a huge, millions of people playing it, they started to think more about the impact of their art design. And the art of World of Warcraft changed. The armor that they made, the armor sets, the way that their women were portrayed and stuff like that changed over time. And I think it was because the people who made the game were growing up. And they realized more thought needed to be put into this game because it was reaching millions of people. And it couldn't just be something that you just sort of threw together without caring that much. And Hearthstone's the same thing. Like they might have started with something that they were putting together, not really knowing how much of an impact it was going to come. It was going to have. But eventually they thought, we really want to make this a game we're proud of. Something we can look at and feel like this is the game we want to make. And these are the changes we're going to have to make to pull it up to where we want it to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and I for one have noticed even over the years, like immodesty or whatever aside, that I like it when the cards all have a very similar art style.
Yeah.
Some of those older cards, the art style just looks too different. And I think Hearthstone has been lately really trying to make a very overt art style. Like when you see a card, no text, no Hearthstone border around the card, you say, "Oh, that's Hearthstone art style," because I'm used to looking at it, and that's what I affiliate with it. Just like some games are more like an anime style. And like Eternal has its own art style that looks nothing like Hearthstone. You know what I mean? And I think they're trying to have like their own, their own voice in the card game marketplace.
Yeah, I would be open to them making more changes, going back and kind of changing more cards that they feel like don't live up to the art that they have now and the vision that they have now. That would be fine. I know some people out there have different concerns about the new regulations in China, whether that had an impact on the decisions they're making, whether they're bowing to the pressure of people who want them to censor, I guess is the other word that's been thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think it works very well, though, because I was looking at the difference between Secret Keeper then and Secret Keeper now, and she's still wearing a bikini, guys. Like,
there's still midriff showing.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Like the art style is different and it's more cohesive with the rest of the look of Hearthstone, but they did not put her in a burqa. Like she's not completely covered up from head to toe. It reminds me a lot of the art style of Heroes of the Storm, actually. They do have women in there who you can see their stomach, you can see their chest, but it's very strong looking. Like their bodies are normally
there's
proportioned.
Definitely a difference.
Yeah.
You can tell a difference. I'm of the opinion that like it's their game and their call. I mean, I like I actually like World of Warcraft. They do art changes all the time for like character animations. They do different things like that. To think that they wouldn't do things like this for Hearthstone is, I think, a bit naive, and sure. I'm fine with that. I mean, I guess part of what we're signing up for when we're signing up for a digital card game versus a collectible card game, an actual physical card game, is they can change the art if they want to. Now, me personally, I don't have any problem with like some of the decisions they've decided to make as far as removing and changing the art on some of these cards. I am a little disappointed in like changing the names of cards, but I kind of like trying to I try and remember card names. I try and remember mana costs. I try and remember attack and defense and all this sort of thing. And yeah, it's a small thing that we're going forward going to have a fell stalker instead of a succubus, but it's one thing. It's one thing when it's a visual thing where we're saying that this doesn't match the art style that we're going with, but it's another thing with like a name of a card. But that's
I mean, if you've ever been asked by your kid, hey, what's a succubus, and you have to explain
I have not had that conversation,
so that's one of those conversations you're like evil monster spirit thing, you don't want to explain what a real succubus is,
I would suppose not.
So it's kind of like it might have just been one of those things, like if you think about what some things actually are and what the connotation is on some of it, it doesn't fit with this is a card game that we're just trying to play to have fun. I mean, that's a little bit on the, I'm going to say, edges on the dark side.
The other thing is it wouldn't make any sense if we have the visual of a demon dog looking thing and then we're calling it succubus.
That would make no sense either.
So you'd have to, you kind of divorce the two by having a different name there.
So in case we haven't been clear, basically they changed these cards, the artwork on them, and the two major obvious things they changed was if the card seemed a little bit on the sexual side, and it may not even just necessarily been the topographical layering of the character, but maybe the pose or the spirit in which the card was. Like for example, Mistress of Pain was renamed to the Queen of Pain. They kind of said it's less leg showing, no longer looks seductive. You can do things as an artist in just small nuances in a picture to make a character look more or less seductive, regardless of what topically they're wearing.
Mistress of Pain looked very BDSM.
Yes.
And now she doesn't.
Yep. No. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. So, I mean, and this, the thing is what's the connotation now? A kid may not pick up on this, but adults can pick up on this because we have a knowledge base which to draw from. Like, oh, yeah, I see what they're going for here. Wind Fury Harpy as well. Got a lot more on, covered up, and it's a different pose.
Yeah, thank goodness. There wasn't much on before.
Nope. Secret Keeper is now a frontal pose instead of a over-the-shoulder pose, which Blizzard has gotten in trouble with before, if I'm not mistaken, with other games. Looking over the shoulder poses in Blizzard is some of those things they've had to deal with in the past. So, Tracer, etc. And
Overwatch. Yeah.
Overwatch got in a lot of trouble for that one, or a lot of flack, I should say. So no more. It's just the frontal thing. So I think if you look at the art actually of the original card, I always thought as an artist, like it was just like bad art to a degree. Like the art was okay, but the way it almost looked like somebody took like a middle school kid took a Sharpie and did a certain outline on the posterior that like would never have been the case if that was the actual garment, if it was a garment. And it's just like, this is very middle school. So in terms of that, people who might say, oh, it's a bit tasteless, don't you think? So anyways, in the blood and gore category, Eviscerate no longer shows the blood. Honestly, I didn't really notice it until I saw a golden version of Eviscerate where it shows like blood kind of flying off. I'm like, oh, that's kind of graphic. And then again, when your kid says, Daddy, what's Eviscerate means? Oh, it's when you disembowel somebody, cut them across the stomach. Ew,
I think it affected a lot of the golden art. Like with the golden art, all of the blood in these different cards was much more
spurting.
Yeah. So now it's like Bite has new art, Deadly Shot has new art, and Head Crack has new art. So they don't have blood and gore everywhere. Which, I mean, we like to joke about the fact that this is a card game for children, but the point is they do want to reach a larger audience, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with making your card game available to more people. And I don't think that we're
Yeah.
losing anything when they do that.
No, really not. What were you going to say?
I was going to say,
Stuff?
I never could tell what head crack actually was.
The
Oh,
picture.
really?
They specifically talk about the fact that the art on that particular card is really dark.
Mm.
And it is. It's really dark. You can kind of make out this skull, and then
Mhm.
there's like this rock or something that has hit the skull or about to hit the
Mhm.
skull, and
Mhm.
it might be coming back because the combo is you get the card back in your hand if you've
Mhm.
comboed it. But you could never really tell or at least I couldn't. I could never really tell what the actual art on that card was. And so the fact that they completely changed it, it's now daylight, and you can actually see that there's somebody doing something in the card. I think. I mean, if there's,
I always
if
thought
there's,
it was. I always thought it was Iron Maiden cover album art.
there you go. That makes sense. Because like you just it does look like an 80s rock album cover or something like that. It just, but I could never see really what it was. It didn't make sense to me.
I think
Well,
that
I mean-
the cards that I've seen that are replacing it really feel like they're right along with the art that we see now in all of the different expansions. Like they fit
Agreed.
right in, they look good, and I'm happy with the change personally.
Yeah, I mean, I find myself being satisfied on multiple levels here, but just in terms of feeling like stuff is not being foisted on the younger minds. I also really just like the newer art style better than the older art style. The older art style reminds me of like metal albums from the '80s, sort of kind of with a fantasy twist to them. So
They're old.
You
I mean, let's admit it. Magic the Gathering reprints cards as well with new art
mhm.
because some of them just start looking kind of old and not as good as the
Have
new
you
stuff.
have you ever looked at old Magic card art like when
Yeah.
the first few years from the sets?
I've got some
It's
old
not
ones.
good.
It's not great.
I don't like it. It's not good. The stuff they have now is so much more
Yeah.
beautiful and detailed and fits the motif better.
I'm really excited about some of these new card ability changes, though, Grant. You remember
hit
when
'em.
you'd have like cleave or multi-shot or forked lightning,
Mhm.
and it wouldn't work
Mhm.
because you didn't have 2 minions to shoot it at, so you just couldn't cast it at all? Even if you just wanted to sacrifice, I can't hit 2 minions, but at least I'll hit 1 and I'll just use up this card, and
Mhm.
you couldn't because you just couldn't cast it from your hand because you didn't have 2 minions?
Or you're trying to dump your hand and you can't because
Yes.
there's not 2 minions on the other
Yes.
side of the board. It
Now you
just-
can
Yes.
play them.
Yes.
That's amazing. I am
We
so
have the
happy.
technology. We can play them.
We can play them.
You're going to be able to choose to play them if you want to, even if there isn't 2 targets. And they will also properly trigger if they're played by random effects like Yogg-Saron.
Mm.
So that the
Or
card would like, just
Yogg-Saron's
come up
magical
and
box.
nothing would happen. And it would go away and it would be like, no.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
amazing.
that's always kind of a feels bad moment where a spell gets put out and you're like, it's gonna do nothing.
Nothing.
And another one that's gonna
Absolutely
do
nothing.
and you hang your head and you're like, what am I doing here? I paid 10 mana for this card. Dang it! I want 10 mana worth of spells.
I think this was needed. I never understood why those cards didn't work.
Right.
I mean,
Mhm.
it's like there's lots of other spells and things that you can they just don't happen. You can still play the card. It just nothing happens.
Yeah. Just if you
Mhm.
need to get
I
rid
don't
of the card.
I don't see why
Yeah.
these particular cards, because they said basically 2 targets, you couldn't play those.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
It's
just
so
like an
frustrating.
AoE. I'm glad they made the change.
But also pilfer. Remember when we talked
Pilfer.
about this on an earlier episode? We
Mhm.
were like, they should change. They're changing it. Now it's going to be add a random card from another class to your hand instead of add a random card to your hand from your opponent's class. Because then in the mirror match, you would be getting a rogue
get
card
nothing.
instead of, and then it wouldn't trigger all the things you needed to trigger and stuff like that. So yeah.
Mhm.
Now Pilfer is going to work like all the other Burgle cards. Good job.
Hooray! Good job, Team 5.
And
Thank
Tavern
you.
Brawl is
It's.
going to be
I was going to
active.
say it's not. It's the Blink Fox is still going to work the way it does, where it takes from the opposing class. I thought, but the spells like Burgle, like Pilfer, are going to
Yeah.
be from any from another class as opposed to your.
So Blink Fox isn't
System.
changing. It's still going to
Correct.
give you a mirror
Uh,
match.
That's my understanding anyway.
Okay. We'll take a look at that.
That's
But
good.
Tavern Brawl,
Good
you're
to
going to
know.
be able to play all week now. Downtime's only going to be 1 hour, and you'll be able to play Tavern Brawl every week. On Wednesday, it's going to start at 9 and end the following Wednesday at 8.
Nice. That's cool. Because you ever do that thing where you forget about Tavern Brawl because you're grinding really hard?
Yep.
And then, like, it's Sunday afternoon, you're like, ah, dang, I got to play Tavern Brawl. And then they ask you to build a deck, but you don't know which decks are in the Tavern Brawl meta, and you don't want to spend time. This is a page out of my own history, by the way. And you don't want to spend time
This
developing a
doesn't-
deck, and you just
This
kind of
doesn't
miss
sound
it.
like
'cause-
experience at all. Doesn't sound
No,
like experience.
that's what happened to me this week. I didn't get the pack from last week because I was like, oh, I'll do it later, and later never came.
Or you
So,
didn't do your quests that say do Tavern Brawls, and the Tavern Brawl's gone now, so you can't do the quest.
Oh, I always mulligan those quests anyways because I don't like Tavern Brawl that much.
Playing on one of the other servers, actually, I have to remember, or would have to remember that, like, I'm Pacific time right now. So, like, if I play the Tavern Brawl on my EU account, you have to do it by like 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. Otherwise, you miss it. Because that's
Oh,
when
yeah.
that's what it turns off on the EU server. So it's like I'm really, really glad that whenever I have the time to be able to play it, unless it's that hour right before the new Tavern Brawl goes live, I should be able to do that.
A lot of great quality of life things in the patch notes.
True story.
And one last thing, if you're interested in the Great Dalaran Heist, they did a bunch of tuning. Read the patch notes because there's just a ton of stuff in there, but they changed some of the hero decks. They changed some of the boss hero powers. They buffed some and they nerfed some. So the normal ones, there were some that they buffed, and the heroic ones, there were some that they nerfed a bit because they were finding them too difficult. So if you've been struggling and not being able to get that done, especially with heroic, go check out the patch notes because they went in and did a whole bunch of changes.
So props to you guys who did the heroic mode before they did any nerfs,
Right.
because you're the real heroes here. The rest of us are just, well, we're Johnny come latelys. So
You all have a mythical ahead of the curve achievement that you can show off to people.
Yep. We should all have those achievement points. I want
Yeah,
them in
right.
Hearthstone so bad. And one
Mhm.
last thing. I know I already said that, but I'm going to say it again. Data mined information for an upcoming event, the Fire Festival, hints that we may be receiving an old card back from Season 12. So
dun dun dun.
this might open the door for ways that they can say, do this and you can get this old card back you may have missed. I'm missing just 2, I think, from the beginning, because I didn't start right away in the first month. Or I was playing and I didn't realize what you had to do
That
in
was
order
me.
to get the card back. Anyway, I've always wanted to fill out my collection. So this is the first time they've ever done this where you can get an old card back, if it's actually going to happen, because it is data mined. So those are.
I would like
sometimes
to get
wrong.
the first 3 or 4 seasons because I don't have those.
Yeah.
Those are the ones I would care about. And those are the ones one of the few card backs I see and I go, ooh, respect, man. You've been playing season 1. Get the Mist Pandaria.
Now
one
that
and
you've said
all
that,
stuff.
like, that's kind of been a minor outcry of people already, even though we don't know if it's happening or not, that it's not going to mean as much for the people who were there from the beginning. You're taking something away from them by giving these cards to people who haven't been there from the beginning. And I'll say this as somebody who's been there almost from the beginning. I don't care. You can have the card back. I mean, I don't want to deny people fun, beautiful card backs by saying I was here since, the first couple of months and I want them all to myself and you can't have them. Like,
You
Yeah.
still can say that. I mean, you still can say I was here since the beginning,
exactly.
and me finally getting the League of Explorers card back the month the League of Explorers came out, November 2015, I want to say.
Mhm,
Is that
mhm.
the one with the little map in the center?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
one I really want. And I remember seeing it at BlizzCon, and I hadn't started playing Hearthstone yet, and I was like, I might try going into the game just because I like that card back enough, but I didn't, and so I don't have it, and
Aw.
I've wanted it ever since. And the one in a 1,000 games where I actually see that card back, I'm like, oh man, that is
I mean,
so
well, but that's just it, right? There are so many card backs now
right.
that and if you're putting your card back as the randomly selected one
Which I
or
do.
the most recent one,
Mhm.
like I never see the same card back 2 games in a row. You know what I
Right.
mean? Even the legendary one, I don't see 2 games in a row usually, and that's the one people usually like to sport, as ugly as it is. So it's like, okay, so you have the season 1 and 2 card back, but we don't ever see it. So what does it matter? And I think you're right, Mageadeath. Just like, yeah, you can tell people you've been playing since season 1. People go, wow, that's great. It, it's kind of such a small little thing to hang on to that I don't think it's worth the time and energy to really uh, get on the soapbox about. Well, I need to have the one thing I need to hang on to so I can say that I'm better than you. You know what I mean? Or I'm more prestigious than you. I mean, those little acts of human pride are a little bit ridiculous in my opinion sometimes.
I think that I like to say, is this the hill you want to die on?
Yeah, it's not a hill to fight and die on.
Like,
that's for sure.
is this what you want to fight for? Is this that important to you? And then think about what joy other people will get in it.
I feel like it's cosmetic, so
Yeah.
it's not like it changes anything for
Mhm.
anybody. And to me, it feels like if they opened up a way that you could unlock old card backs, it would be a great. It would renew interest in the game for people that are the collectors that want to have all the card backs.
Yep.
And they would do the things that you would need to do in order to get those card backs. And so I'm actually surprised that we haven't gotten a mechanism to do this, because it just seems like it seems like a way that you could just get people to play, right? It just, I want these card backs, or I want another card back that I don't have access to now.
Well, this might be it.
This is what I need to do. It.
The Fire
Yeah.
Festival.
Well,
There's going to be some
well,
quests.
there could be all kinds of things like, okay, you want season 1 card back? Okay, win 10 games in standard play with cards only from the classic set.
Such a good idea.
You know what I mean? Or and just put that out. Hey, all right, challenge of the month, challenge of this month. See you next year when it comes back around. Like in Overwatch, they do that with skins and stuff like that. Like every time Overwatch Anniversary comes around, you have the option to buy any skin in the game. Otherwise, you have to wait till the next festival when that skin is released.
That is such a
Right.
good idea, Grant. I love that. If at the beginning of the month, you go, this card back is up for grabs from previous months. All you got to do is win X number of games with only the cards from that season. Like you might have to go into Wild. You probably would have to go into Wild.
Maybe.
Unless you were using only basic and classic cards.
And it'll make people play Wild too.
That's a good incentive to go play
There's
Wild.
any number of ways to
Blizzard,
go
are you
about it.
listening?
So,
Yeah. Like
What are you saying, Mageadeath?
I was gonna say we've seen them offer card backs as part of the Tavern Brawl. I'd love to see maybe once a month, rather, maybe as a reward in the Tavern Brawl, you could do that. Or if a mythical new game mode comes alive at some point, the reward for that could be, I'm not thinking of a situation where you could basically just grind out and get all of the card backs that you're missing in like a month.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a situation that's going to happen.
No.
But I could definitely see a way that you could incorporate it into some sort of challenge mode, or where you're doing some sort of challenge to in one of the existing modes, or you could do it as part of the Tavern Brawl. You could do it as an arena reward. You could do it. There's lots of different ways you could do it, and just be like, okay, this month we're doing this one,
Yeah.
and you could do that, and
Limited time
that would
offer.
it would bring interest into, if I don't have it, you could do it and get it, and if you don't, or if you do have it, then maybe you don't have to worry about that this month. But I would love to I would love to see them finally implement this because it's something they've talked about off and on. There's definitely interest there, and let's do this already.
They've just been
Well,
trying to find the right way to implement it. So
Right,
these are a lot
right.
of good ideas.
yeah, and if anybody from the dev team and Blizzard listens to our show, there you go. There's a talking point at your meeting. So
I would
mean,
love like a card back of the month. Just be like, this is what you need to do to get it, and give like a challenge and a limited
Mhm.
time offer. You've got an X amount of time to get this one done. That'd be so cool.
yeah, it would probably make people play more.
Yep.
There's a lot of people who are, like you say, you have to have all the things, and they go, "Oop, that's the thing I need. I don't have. I'll play for that." So, yeah, I agree. I'm not particularly a fan of the Ragnaros one. Um, it's not my favorite one, but I do have it because I played at that time. So when it shows up in my random card back draw, I'm not sad to see it. But if somebody wanted it, I would not feel bad if they got it, if they earned it for free. The only thing I think that makes me feel bad is like, I already have that one. Don't you have anything else? The kid
Where's my
inside me.
token so I could change it for something else?
That's right. So
I'm just glad they're doing another. Presumably they're doing another fire festival. They've done a like middle of the year, like Toki's time thing was last year, and
that was cool.
when we did that, we got double the gold and we got dust with our quests. And if they're doing that again this year, ahead of the new expansion next month that we're all already hyped for, it's like, yes, bring on the cards.
Yeah, from
the new
what I've
expansion.
been able to gather, I think Dalaran crashes into Blackrock Mountain.
Great.
So
Dope. I'm all about that.
Best laid plans go awry when you strap rockets to a floating city.
exactly. I don't want to spoil too much because it's all been data mined, and I know people sometimes don't want to hear anything about data mine stuff because it's all spoilers. But yeah, it sounds super exciting, and this would be really cool if it's a way you can get old card backs. It's a good start.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys, I think that's about does it for the show because we've covered a lot of ground, and boy howdy, do we. I mean, I'm excited. I'm actually more excited now, having talked about it for an hour and a half than I was even before. I mean, I was excited before, but now I'm just like, bring on the cars. I can't hear Blizzard. Take my money, because that's honestly, I almost like opening packs more than I like playing the game, just because the excitement of that little bit of gambling.
This is what I'm like the most excited for. Is Reno, Elise, Bran, and Sir Finley are all going to have legendary cards.
Bring me Sir Finley.
What are those going to be?
I must know where that distinguished gentleman, what he will be doing in my paladin decks for the next few months.
What are their powers? What are they going to do? I'm really excited.
And the golden fish.
Yep.
The golden fish that he was like flinging around and hit a mummy
on the head with.
New hero power, perhaps?
Yeah.
Oh, that would make him a hero card, though.
Yeah, maybe.
Either that or just give Paladin a golden fish
weapon.
I'm totally fine with that too. It's
ditto.
Whatever it is, I know it's going to be amazing, and I'm super excited to see it. I can't wait for more cards. Want to see more cards? There wasn't enough.
I did read it's coming out August 6th. We didn't say that, but
yes,
the new cards. So if you haven't started saving your gold, make sure you start doing that. I'm a little behind on my gold only because I played a lot of arena, so I spent a lot of gold. But my dust count is up a little bit, so it kind of pans out in the wash. I accidentally, stupidly crafted the Inquisitor. I did the thing where you go in your collection, you craft it, you hear like the sound it makes, its battle cry sound.
Yeah.
And I tried it for Brightwing, and I'm like, oh, Brightwing sounds a lot like Brightwing, and slightly less creepy than she does on Heroes of the Storm. So that was cool. And I was like, what does Inquisitor sound like? I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I accidentally just clicked out of it. I'm like, oh. Well, I guess I'm keeping that card. But it's okay. I didn't do it in golden, at least, or anything silly like that. But so I have her, so I'm trying to think. I wonder if there's any decks that are using her right now. And searching Inquisitor and Hearthstone decks doesn't really lead to many good places. So if anybody knows any good Inquisitor decks that can be played on ladder, rank 5 or higher, let me know. Shoot them to me.
Discord
or put them in the
is
Discord.
your friend.
Discord your friend. All right, so Mageadeath. thank you so much for helping us dissect all this news and go through it and, getting hyped with us. Where can people find you if they want to track you down?
So I am on Twitter at Mageadeath, Mage, letter A, Death, all one word. And I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Hearthstone, try and help people get better. We play the standard Wild, play Arena, usually on Friday nights, and that is twitch.tv/Mageadeath as well. I also joining Daring Alkaline and Nikolaius on a new Hearthstone podcast, Dr. 3 it's called. You
Nice.
can find out information about that on our Twitter account there, which is at Dr. 3HS. 3
Cool.
the number 3.
Down with that. Eve, where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Lore Master Eve. I had to
That
check.
sounded very non-committal.
I forgot my name. And yeah, I've been playing lots of Destiny recently, so I don't know how many of like the Venn diagram of people who play Hearthstone and play Destiny, but it's been super fun recently. And also Monster Hunter World. I'm hearing silence
Monster
from the
Hunter
other two.
World, I don't
So.
I
don't
not
know that
familiar. Oh, I think I recognize the name now.
Well, there's monsters, and you hunt them
In a world?
in a world. Dude,
It's not
like,
just a clever name, huh?
the aesthetic is kind of like Final Fantasy-esque, but the whole
Mm-hmm.
point is that you go out into these world and there's these massive, they call them monsters, but most of them look like either dinosaurs or dragons. And they're
Okay.
huge and amazing and actually terrifying. Like the first time you run into one of them in the world and there's kind of like this big cutscene where they stand up and they roar and they put their wings out. You're just like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to defeat that thing? It's terrifying. And then when you do, you carve it up and you wear it
gosh.
as armor and weapons.
Nice.
You like take pieces from
Sure.
it and then you look like the thing that you've killed. You've got like bits of scales and feathers and like rock and bone, and yeah, it's been super fun. I'm starting to get into that because my son's been playing and he's helping me. He's like, Mom, just do this, and yeah. Don't you love it when your kids know more about a game than you and they gently try to teach you how to play it? That's been my experience.
Well, if you want to find me, myself, and I, just go to Twitter at WatchmanHS, in-game, hashtag Watchman1150, or let's fix that, Washman, hashtag 1150. I think I said double hashtag. If you want to find anything and all things Velen's Chosen, head on over to www.velenschosen.com. You can check our Twitter out, Discord, Patreon, iTunes, all that stuff. If you want to support the show, you can leave us an iTunes review. Always glad to be getting those from anybody. We haven't had one in a little while, but we'd like one. Helps us get in the feed for people looking for Hearthstone. And anytime there's a new set coming out, people start looking for Hearthstone. They want to know more about the game usually. If you want to support us monetarily, shoot us that cup of coffee a month and help us keep the lights on with website costs and production and just being cool about it. Head on over to patreon.com/Velen's Chosen podcast, and we greatly appreciate
And
any
buying
all
packs,
sums of money. Yes.
especially this time
Buying
of year.
packs is nice. Yeah, especially this time of year when summer money is low.
Oh.
Big shout out and thank you to Jamie S. for all his continued support of the show and everybody else who contributes those couple dollars a month to us. We greatly appreciate it. If you have any thoughts or ideas, we said it last week, but some people don't make it to the very end of the show. You say, I would contribute money if you did X thing. Let us know. Always interested in new ideas, a way to garner support. So anything else before we sign off? Anybody? Thanks again, Mageadeath. It was awesome having you on the show. We'll get you on again. This is turn 3 for you.
Yes.
So there'll probably likely be a turn 4.
Could talk about Uldoooom
Uldum.
Oh yeah. Oh.
and the
Uldum
deathiest death.
and the deathiest death. All right, everybody. Eve, hit us. Takes away.
Not all who wander are lost. Bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
foresaw this.
Did I miss it?